All right, am I back? My phone is doing weird things and it keeps telling me I'm interrupted or something. So hopefully this is working. I think I'm gonna pop my laptop open quick and just see if I can see that this is going. I was having trouble with technology earlier because technology is not always my friend. So let's see if this can show up here. All right, so bear with me, everybody. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have any technical difficulties happening right now. You'll probably hear some little background bloops as my laptop warms up here. All right. Let's see here. And going here. Here. Okay, well, it says I'm live. Okay, that's good. All right, cool. Okay, so sorry, everybody. I was having a little technical issue. It said I had lost my feed, but I seem to be there. Okay, yay, good. Okay, so back to crafting, yay. All right, so for tonight's project, you're gonna need a piece of neutral cardstock, like I said, 5.5 by 8.5, and score that at 4 1/4. I'm gonna be using our thick, hey, Tina's here. Okay, good. I'm going to be using our thick basic white cardstock. I always do like to use the thick versions of white and vanilla for my card bases. I use the other basic white and vanilla for just about everything else though. All right, designer series paper number 1. You're going to want a square that's 3 by 3. This is the back side of one of those ones from Dainty Flowers. So I'm using, it's got a little bit of green in it and then a couple specks of blue, but that's probably going to get hidden a little bit. But I like the green, the whitewash of the green here. So that's what I was going for. I've got a piece of designer series paper that is a 1 by 4. Now, if yours is directional, we are going to be using that piece horizontally. Obviously, a 3 by 3 is a perfect square. It shouldn't really matter. You'll have it set the way you need to set it. But just make sure you have that cut the right grade that's going horizontally. You need a piece of cardstock that's 3 by 3. I'm going to be using Old Olive. And then you wanted to have a small phrase and some kind of focal point that's about a 2 by 2-ish surface area. Now, what I chose to do tonight, I'm also, one of the things I'm going to be presenting on that Super Stamping Sunday is the Sweet Citrus Bundle. So I'm going to be using that again tonight. This is kind of a special deal that you get an embossing folder and a set of dies together. Hey, Kathy Jo, good to see you tonight. And they actually work literally together. So the embossing folder can be used just all by itself. You're going to get some nice embossed imagery with that of all the different citrus fruits and little vines and stuff. And then there's a piece of the die that goes and cuts out these 4 shapes right here for you. And you can put that in the embossing folder. So you could stamp it first, put it in the embossing folder with the die, and then those parts will be embossed and die cut. Or you can just die cut. There's all kinds of great things you can do with that all together. So I'm going to be presenting that more in detail on that Super Stamping Sunday. So don't forget to join us, superstampingsunday.com. All right. I'm going to be using that Sweet Citrus Bundle then. So we're going to start with your card base and your phrase, actually, because we're going to center everything off of that phrase that we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder, give my edge a nice crease. But for stamping, I'm going to open it back up because I don't want any bulk or bump or anything going on. So I'm using a phrase from that. It says, have a zesty birthday. Goes really well with all your little citrus elements. Okay, so we're going to take that. I'm going to ink mine up in Old Olive. And you're going to aim for the bottom corner-ish. So I left a little bit of a border and kind of near the bottom. Okay, so we're going to place our cardstock and everything based on where that phrase is sitting for your project. I find that easier than trying to get it to fit in after the fact. Okay, so let's focus on these 3 pieces first. You're going to start with your square of cardstock, so your 3 by 3 square. Again, mine is Old Olive. You can choose at any time to do any of these elements bumped up with dimensionals. I'm just going to glue everything down first and give you an idea. Now, don't worry about the precise angle of that. Just place it a little bit on an angle so that one corner is kind of near your edge at the top there. Then you're going to take that designer series paper And we're going to do the same thing. See, there's those pretty flowers. I'm telling you guys, you totally are going to want to get that from Celebration. The Dainty Flowers DSP is beautiful. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and we're going to offset that a little bit. Going the other way. And you can decide if you want that to be hanging down more, up more. But there's no real right or wrong way to do this. And then that last piece of Designer Series paper, again, this is my old olive. It comes from the Regals. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'll have that in the comments at the end when I post the video. It's one of the Color Family DSPs, whichever one has old olive in it. And then that's going to go right across this part right here. Okay, so you can decide if you want to cover up both pockets, make it look like a pocket, I guess I should say, or if you want to have a little bit of that part peeking out still. I want to cover up my blue because I don't want any of the blue showing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so that is basically the layout. Now you're going to want to grab your focal point. Now what I did here is I stamped and die cut some of the wedge pieces in old olive so that they kind of look like limes. I took these 3 pieces here. They come on a 1 stamp, so that's really easy to do. And this is all 1 stamp, so when you're ready to do the outlying rinds of the fruit, it's really easy to line up and you have your whole slice and wedge and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so I'm going to take this lime, the full-size lime, and I'm going to go ahead and stick him down right about there. And then my little wedge, let's see, do I want one of those? I think I'll do him. Okay, I'm going to use my wedge for something else. All right, this guy I'm going to pop up on dimensionals just to give it a little bit of lift. So I'll throw a couple of those on the back. And let me see, do I like it? Whoopsie. Like it that way? I think I like it that way. Okay, so there is my focal point. Now, if you brought any other accessories, ribbon or bling or anything like that, go ahead and add those in wherever you like across your card front. But that is basically the design. I'm going to give this another little bit of a crease because it was still popping up on me. There we go. Now it'll lay nice and flat for me. All right, so that's basically it. Like I said, this is a really quick and easy one. So remember your cardstock and your DSP have the same dimension. So they sit really nicely paired up next to each other like that. Let me go ahead and show you a couple other versions. This one here, I used Nature's Prints and the coordinating DSP, which is Sun Prints, I'm sorry, Sun Prints. So I used the little splatter stamp in the background to give that just a little bit of something. And then this is stamped and die cut. And then I took my bone folder and I roughed up the edges of my cardstock to give that a little bit of dimension as well. Okay, so this one is Night of Navy and Starry Sky are the 2 color combinations in there. Excuse me, my goodness. All right, then if you saw in the new mini catalog, we expanded the collection of gnomes. So now there are some gnomes that are a little bit springier. We had gnomes in the holiday catalog and we kept the dies. So if you have the gnome dies from before, these guys match the exact same ones. So you can still use your dies to cut out these guys here. So for this one, I used Sweet Sorbet and some pinks to color him in. I also highlighted my phrase with a shape from Watercolor Shapes. I've kind of gotten into this with my last couple of samples, and I think it's really kind of fun. So you can use these as a highlight for a little, it helps with dimension as well, because normally I might put that on a piece of cardstock, pop it up. This helps me keep it a little flatter if I want to keep that a little flatter for mailing. Still gives me the look I want with a little color behind it. So that's really fun. So here is Friendly Gnomes. Like I said, you can find that in the mini catalog. And like I said, these guys here will get cut out with the same dies that we had for the Christmas set. So if you had that left over if you still have those from the Christmas ones, you are good to go. I also added a piece of black behind my DSP because I wanted to have that stand out just a little bit more. And I have a couple of dots from the In Color matte dot collection there. Also in the mini catalog, you'll find Taco Fiesta. Really fun, cute little set. I like the fact that they have these little faces that you can then put onto like your tacos or your, hi Kathy, good to see you tonight. Your burritos, all those, like, I love the one, especially like you can put it with your little guacamole, your piece of avocado here. So cute. So here's what I did with that. And because this was a line art and a sketch, I wanted to keep that going and emphasize with the little touch of black. But instead of actually adding cardstock like I did on this one, I just took my Stampin' Write marker and I drew it along all the edges of all the papers. So it kind of has that line art, cartoony look carried out through the entire card. And again, I used one of the shapes from watercolor shapes to highlight my phrase. And as I was doing my little tracing, I had a little boo-boo, which I turned into a doodle. So I have a line where I missed it. So I added a couple of dots and then I mimicked it up in this corner so it looked like it was meant to be. Like I did it on purpose, right? But I thought that was a kind of fun way to carry the line art cutesy look of the whole thing through the entire project, was just to highlight with my marker. All right, so once again, here's the one I did on camera with my limes. Here is my stepped up version. So the only difference is, in this piece back here, I added the embossing folder to that piece so you can see some of that peeking through. And then these guys I stamped on olive cardstock and then sent through the embossing folder and die cut them out as well. So they have, I'm not sure if it's going to show up here, but this is all embossed so you can feel all the little pieces of the wedges. And then I added some of the flat adhesive backed pearls into the centers of my limes. Okay, so that is those guys for tonight. And let me show you where I got the inspiration. Was from a swap I received from my Stampin' Bestie, Amy Rich. This one is using the Country Floral collection in the mini catalog. That is also going to be an add-on class option for Super Stamping Sunday, so I wanted to share that as well. But I took very similar concept here. She had her 2 pieces of designer series paper. She had a strip going across. She created a focal point even with a little punch piece behind it and a tiny little phrase in the corner. And then of course some bling and ribbon just to dress it up a little bit. All right, everybody. So that is those projects for this evening. Thanks so much again for joining me. And I will go ahead and draw those names. Thank you to everyone who sent me samples that you have been making with the layout from last week. And thanks, Kathy Jo. I think so too. It was really fun to use this bundle the more I work with it. So I'm kind of excited about it. So I will draw names for getting out the designer series paper shortly, and I will have those posted on my Facebook page. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Monday, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.